Good morning, Open Bible Church. Welcome. We're so glad you've joined us for service this morning. Take a moment right now and grab your cell phone and check in with us. Text to the number 408-547-4911, the word "here" and your first name if you've texted that number before. If you've never texted that number before, we would encourage you to do so. Thank you for joining us today, and we want to welcome you. But if you'll text the word "connect" to 408-547-4911, then follow the prompts. We would love to connect with you. We'd love to get to know who you are. Just one last announcement, and just kind of a wrap-up announcement regarding our cards of love. This is the last week that we'll be receiving donations for that. If you have yet to give, but you can purchase one or two cards or more, at $60 a piece. We are providing cards for 5 different schools, 3 high schools, a middle school, and an elementary school. And we are going to be blessing at least 50 families this year with a Thanksgiving meal because of those cards of love in those schools. And these are families that are at risk, families that are low income, and families that could really use a boost during this time of the holidays. So God bless you. Thank you for giving. We're going to be heading into worship in just a moment. Would you just pause and just allow the Holy Spirit just to speak to your heart, and just take some time allowing the songs and the words of the songs to encourage you this morning. We're going to be coming back with a powerful word talking about Friendsgiving and the power of the right friendships. So God bless you. We'll see you in just a few moments.
In my sorrow and dead in my sin, lost without hope and no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested, my life began. Ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested, my life began. Oh, your grace so washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was ransomed, faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and he called me his friend. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with all freedom in hand. That's when death was arrested and my life began. washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. We're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. When death was arrested and my life began. When death was
Peace, bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name still, call the sea to still, the rage in me to still, every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Breathe, call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear. Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome you to our second part of our series talking about Friendsgiving and the importance of friendship and the importance of how friendships are vital to our commitment to God and commitment to others. Let me remind you that as a church, we exist foremost, importantly of all, to connect with God, then to connect with others, and then to be able to connect with the world for the sake of the gospel. And we do so in a deep way in building relationship with one another. And the relationship is in the form of a friendship. Last week we talked about how to establish being best friends with God. And today we're going to be talking about the second aspect of this is the power of the right friends. I think it's important for us to realize that we need to make sure that we have the right friends in our lives. I had to laugh as I did some research. I came across this study that was done in January of 2009. The Burger King restaurant chain ran this ad campaign where they said that if you would unfriend 10 of your Facebook friends, they would send you a coupon for a free Whopper. And so the way that it was supposed to work was that when you unfriended the person, Burger King would send them a notification that they had been unfriended for a delicious hamburger, which means that they were supposed to make you say, wow, this burger must be something that they would unfriend me for them to want it. Well, this campaign, the New York Times reported that the stunt worked way too well. That within the first week, almost 234,000 friendships were terminated, and Burger King was obligated to over 23,000 Whoppers, and they ended up having to discontinue the ad. That does not bode well for the state of friendships, especially on Facebook, if people were so quick to unfriend 10 people in order to get a hamburger. Well, friendships are declining. And they did a study, and they figured that they were declining for three reasons. Number one, that there was an increase in work hours. People were spending more time at work. People were distracted more. And it was interfering with building relationships, building friendships. The second reason that they said friendships were declining is because of the rising divorce rates. So not only were divorces hard on families, they were hard on friendships as well. And as families were dividing up all of the assets, they were also dividing up their friendships. And friends were having to pick and choose who they would remain friends with. And so that aspect of friendships were declining. And then the third aspect that they were finding where friendships were declining was as a result of social media. And social media gives this false sense of connecting with people. And basically, people were having more friends listed, but they were feeling a lot more lonely than ever before in their life. And the problem is they did not realize that social media is supposed to be a supplement and not a replacement. A supplement and not a replacement. It was supposed to assist in relationships and friendships and not replace the friendships, so on and so forth. But we have learned throughout the course of history that as a person, we are dependent on other people for a lot of different things. Our affirmation, our love, our association, all those things that are so vital and important that when we gather together, how that makes us feel and how that makes us motivated to do other things. So it is impossible to live the right life with the wrong friends. Think about that. It's impossible to live the right life with the wrong friends. And so it's important that we have the right friends in our lives and that we are the right friend for other people's lives. So if we get our friends right, it can set us up for success in every aspect of our lives. But if we get our friends wrong, it can set us up for pain and trials and struggles and on and on and on. You see, it's so important that we have the right friends. Aristotle wrote that there are three kinds of friendships. The first one is a friendship based on utility, in which one or both of the parties gains something from that relationship. So that's how we network, that's how we enterprise, becoming a friend with someone because you think that they can help you out or that you can get something out of the relationship. And it becomes symbiotic. It becomes a mutual effort for the friendship parties to get something out of it. The second kind of friendship is a friendship that's based on pleasure. In other words, these are relationships that make us feel good. These are relationships that make us satisfied and happy and fulfilled. These are people that we go out with and have a good time with. These are people that we build relationship with that makes us laugh and that we enjoy. And I have friendships like that. And I have friends in my life that whenever I'm together, I know it's going to be a good time. I know we're going to have great conversation and we're going to laugh. And at the end of the evening or the end of the time together, man, I'm going to go away feeling full because it's that kind of relationship. And then there are friendships that are based on virtue, in which both people share the same values. People that we admire and respect, and with whom we agree with on many aspects of our life, from faith to family to hope to all these different things that we value in our lives. The first thing I want to talk about in finding the right friends is taking a look at the friends you already have. And when you do that, the main point, and Craig Groeschel really emphasizes this when he talks about friendship. He said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Why is that? It's because your friends have great influence over you and in you and through you in your life. Friends love you at your worst, and they can help you be your best, but many of us don't realize the importance of whom we choose to surround ourselves with. The friends you have help determine the quality and the direction of your life. Did you realize that your friends are that influential? Well, the writer of Proverbs, Solomon, said this. He said, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. In other words, if you have wise people in your life, then you're going to learn and glean and hopefully you'll walk in wisdom. But if you have people in your life that are knuckleheads and foolish, then your life is headed in a not so pleasant direction. The consequences of these relationships may be pretty heavy to carry. That's in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, he said, don't be misled. Why? Because bad company corrupts good character. Bad company corrupts good character. It is so important that our friends are those in our lives that are building us up for good and not leading us down a path of destruction, one in which we're so willing to follow, one in which we're so willing to lead. We have to be careful of that. I can think of my own life, and I'll tell a story about that later, but I had some friends in my life that were not good influences on me. And it's not that I was forced to do what they were doing or to go the direction they were going. I went willingly. But I followed and helped lead in a direction that was really harmful and destructive for us as young people, young men. And many of them suffered the consequences for years and years afterwards for the choices that they made early in their lives. Why? Because we did it together as friends. And so we need to learn how to find those people, the right friends in our life, are friends who are walking in wisdom and friends with whom we can lead with and also follow in that direction. Take a moment and if you could think about or write down your 5 closest friends. And there's a study that was done when people do this, and they said that if you write down your 5 closest friends, you are basically in the middle, you are averaged to be about in the middle of those 5 closest friends as far as their success, as far as their influence, as far as who they are. And so on average, most people were right in the middle of their what they would say would be the status quo of their friends. And for many people that maybe had successful friends, or people that were wealthy, or friends that were strong marriages or strong spiritually, they said most of these people fell right in about that middle place that their friends exhibited in their lives. The second thing is that the right friends can be more influential than even our family. Think about that. I think for some of us, we're a lot closer to our friends than we are to our very own blood family. I love what Bernard Meltzer said. He said, a true friend is someone who thinks that you are a good egg, even though he knows that you are slightly cracked. And your family doesn't tolerate the slightly cracked, but other friends in your life may. And I think that's where we learn to find acceptance, is that sometimes if things aren't going well in your family, you find others outside of that sphere of influence that accept you, nurture you, love you, support you, encourage you. Jesus said in John chapter 15, verses 12 to 15, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from the Father, I have made known to you. And so Jesus is putting a high emphasis on the nature of friendship, and how that nature of friendship can influence you to have a great impact on others. You see, there is family that may not be your friend, but there are friends who can become our family. And I love to see the relationship within families where the siblings are friends, or the parents to their children, as they've grown into adulthood, are friends. I love watching the interaction with our boys, and I love how our boys are friends with each other. Not only are they brothers, and they've had that competitive spirit, but they're friends too. And I love watching them gather together and interact with one another when we're all together in one place, and how they talk to each other, how they encourage each other, how they love and support each other. Why? Because not only are they brothers, but they're also friends. Matthew 11:19 says, the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, here's a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of what? Tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is proved right by her deeds. And so I think about Jesus had friends, and he didn't have a real close relationship with his family, and most of his friends probably weren't the best of friends, but there was an influence there and a relationship there that these people who may not have been looked up upon within the world's eyes, but in their sphere of influence became supportive and caring and loving to one another. And then Jesus, in that mix, brought them into a deeper relationship with him, a deeper relationship with each other, because they were outcasts, and they found that relationship entity within each other. And I think that that's so important that we see that. And then the third thing is that the right friend is selfless. The right friend is a selfless friend. Proverbs 17:17, and I'm going to read this in the FBV version, which is the Facebook version. And it says, a friend is someone you may or may not know well, who accepts your friend request on Facebook, and this person is born to like and comment on your post to make you feel good about yourself. Oh, when I read that, I thought, oh my gosh. And there's no Facebook version. I'm just gleaning this from somebody else's interpretation of Proverbs 17:17. But yet how true that is that we base our idea of what a friend is on Facebook. And whether or not they like on our post, whether or not they hit that little heart emoji to show their love for us or to show their support. And it just drives me crazy because I think many of us base friendship on a Facebook mindset and a Facebook value and not what God intended friendships with one another should look like. And to have that right friendship with somebody is a selfless relationship that we need to prioritize or establish with one another. The real Proverbs 17:17 says this: a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. A brother is born for a time of adversity. God designed friendships to be selfless, and that we pour out into one another, and it's a reciprocal relationship. I do not encourage a relationship where you're constantly giving, pouring, and the person that you're in the relationship with is taking advantage of that, and they're constantly taking. That's not a good relationship. This reciprocal relationship is selfless with one another. I love my marriage because that's the way my wife and I are. We're not only marriage partners and lovers and husband and wife, but we are friends too. And it's taken 32 years to enrich that relationship to be a selfless relationship. We will do things for each other and not expect anything in return. And so I think that's the dynamic of relationship when we have the right relationship with someone else. So we need to be careful how we, based on this Facebook version, we need to be careful how we define what a friend is. So in Proverbs 17:17, it says that a selfless friend loves at all times. In John chapter 17, this right friend, a selfless friend, will lay their life down for you. And then in Luke chapter 15, verse 6, this friend rejoices with you when it's time to be able to rejoice. And in that verse it says, suppose one of you has 100 sheep, loses one of them. Won't he leave the 99 in the open country to go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, what does he do? He joyfully puts it on his shoulders and he goes home. And then he calls his friends and their neighbors, and together and they gather together, and he says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. So we celebrate our wins with each other. We celebrate our victories with each other. And the Hebrew word for friendship and the idea of the selflessness is the same word used for secret, which is soad. Soad, S-O-A-D. And it means that a friend is someone you let into the secret places of your heart. This is how we are selfless, and we are intimate, and we are vulnerable. There are things I share with some of my friends that I don't share with anybody else. Why? Because I have an intimate relationship, and selflessly we pour out into one another, and we share with one another even those things that are private and personal to us. And number 4, the right friends have rhythm. What do I mean by that? There's a rhythm to friendship, and I think it's really evident in the maturity or the maturation of a relationship with one another. There are people that I've established enough of a relationship with that if I haven't seen them for a while and then we gather together, it's like that relationship has been ongoing. There's a rhythm to it. Within this rhythm, there are friends that we need, and then there are friends that we need to be. Do you hear me? There are friends that we need, and then there are friends that we need to be. So we need to rediscover the lost art of friendship. We need to be present. We need to be face to face and not thumb to thumb. And what I mean by that is a lot of relationships nowadays are based on this kind of action rather than this kind of action. And it drives me nuts when people won't take the time to go face to face with me, but to communicate with them, I have to communicate through a screen. And that's not how God intended for a relationship to be. He intended it for it to be face-to-face, present with one another. We need to learn how to disconnect in order to reconnect. So we need to get away from those things that are keeping us from developing intimacy and rhythm within our relationships. So what do I mean by that? When Jesus said, "Follow me," he didn't say, "Listen to me." He didn't say, "Read about me." He didn't say, "Go to school for me." He said, "Follow me." What did he mean by that? Follow him. Build relationship. Get to know him. Establish friendship. And this is how we establish relationship with one another, spending time with one another, being present. So Hebrews chapter 10, 24 and 25 says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds." That's that encouragement of relationship. Not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another all the more as you see the day approaching. So what does this rhythm look like? When we're gathered together, when we prioritize relationship, not forsaking other things to gather, but meeting together as we should. First thing is that real friendships have the rhythm of leading and following. Real friendships have the rhythm of leading and following. In other words, there are times in my relationship that I'm leading my relationship as a friend. And in my friendships, my friends are following in the sense of just whatever that looks like. Then there are times when my friends are following or leading and I'm following. They're taking the lead. They're the ones that are being more proactive. They're the ones that are being more interactive. And I'm following in that. Why? Because there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm of leading and following. The second thing is real friendships have the rhythm of give and take. Give and take. So there are times when I'm giving a lot of myself in the relationship and that person is receiving it. And then there are times when that person is giving in their relationship and I'm the one receiving it. Far too often we have relationships where that's way too lopsided, where one person's giving way more than they're receiving. And for some people that's fine. They don't care and they're good with that. But a good friendship, a right relationship, a right friendship has that going in a rhythm, that give and take of the rhythm. Number 3, real friendships have the rhythm of encouragement and correction. Encouragement and correction. There are times when my friends encourage me. And then there are times when my friends will call me on the carpet. A lot of times people will think, well, that's Pastor Dwayne, and I don't want to say anything because I don't want to hurt his feelings. Well, shame on you, because I got pretty thick skin, and there are times when I need to be reminded or corrected, and I'm so thankful that my wife doesn't hesitate to do that, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, and I tease about that, but I value that, because that's the friendship that her and I have. And other people, I've had other people challenge me, correct me. My board, my advisory council, there are times when they will challenge me and correct me, not because they're right or not because they have a power trip, because I need to hear it. And there's a rhythm in our lives where we can encourage and correct. And that rhythm is a way in which we establish trust and commitment into that relationship. And then last, number 4, real friendships have the rhythm of doing and being. In other words, there are times when I need to just do friendship. Whatever it takes, whatever it looks like, I just need to do it. And I need to be active, and I need to be, proactive in this relationship. And then there are just times where I just need to be. I just need to allow the other person to be a friend to me. There are times when I've just needed somebody to be a friend, and I couldn't do anything in return. And they come alongside of me, especially when I'm hurting, especially when I need encouragement, especially when I need somebody just to love on me without, again, being selfless, just giving me a part of their life that I need for that moment. And then there are times when that's me. That's my action. That's my response. And I do it more so, under the guise of a pastor, but then there are times when I do it as a friend, because that's what friends do. There's a rhythm of doing and being, doing and being. And I think it's really important that we realize that in the whole dynamic of friendship, there's a rhythm that goes with that relationship. There's a rhythm of leading and following, a rhythm of giving and taking. There's a rhythm of encouragement and correction, and there's a rhythm of doing and being. And I think those are so important in establishing a right friendship, that there is making sure that there's a rhythm. Because what happens is sometimes within relationship there's a stagnancy, there is a separation, a distance. There is if you go back to the three things that Aristotle used to describe what a friendship is like, the idea of friendship based on utility and pleasure, once that dries out, then that friendship is no longer of value. But that last one, that idea of virtue, what draws me into relationship with somebody are the shared values that we have. This is what deepens and broadens the relationship that I have with that individual, and it makes that relationship so right, is because of the values that we have together as friends. We may not agree. We may not see eye to eye. We may not hold certain viewpoints close together, but if we share the same foundational values, then there's depth, and that's what makes that relationship so right. As I close this morning, I just want to encourage you that if you really want to change your life, then maybe one aspect of that, you may need to change your friends. And why do I say that? I can't tell you the number of men that I've dealt with, especially those that have struggled in life and made bad decisions, ended up in jail at the Elmwood Correctional Facility. And it's been a while, but I have numerous times went out to visit these guys, and they had these amazing encounters with God. It's almost like what do they call that? The jailhouse conversion, and that is so true. That is such an important experience, because they are taking out of their old environment, placed in a new environment, and now God has their full attention. But the problem is many of those guys, I could tell you which ones would succeed and which ones wouldn't. And the ones who wouldn't are the ones who went right back into their old environment with their old friends. So no matter what changes and values they tried to establish in their life while they were in jail, when they got released and they went right back to their old environment, they went right back to their old habits, right back into their old lifestyle. And many of them ended up back into Elmwood. Some of them died, lost their lives. And so this is so important for us to realize that if we want to change our life, we need to change our friends. A few of those guys, when they came out, they didn't have anything to do with the people that they used to run with. And today they did not return to jail. They are successful. They're holding down jobs. They have good marriages. They have good families. And so what was a big part of that is that they made changes in their friendships. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26 says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." Proverbs 12:26. Proverbs 18:24 says, "One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And then Proverbs 27:6 says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." And then James 5:16, "Therefore confess your sins to each other, pray for each other, so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." And so the idea of that is when we establish the right friends, and weed out and sort through the relationships that are of value and important to us. We want to make sure that we have the right friends in our lives, because those right friends will lead us to a successful relationship with our families, with our spouses, and especially with our God. And I think that's important for us to realize. So we may impress people with our strengths, but we connect with people in our weaknesses. And a right friend, a real friend, will help us become stronger, help us to grow in our relationship with God. So the power of having the right friends in your life, we need to be reminded, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Who do you hang with? How do they influence and impact your life? Number 2, friends can be more influential than our families. A right friend is selfless, and a right friendship has a rhythm to it. And in this rhythm, we can see the dynamic of God in action as we grow in that relationship. So let's pray. And I invite you to just take a hard look at who's in your life, and realizing that the right friends in your life will help you grow in your faith, will help you to grow in your marriage. I love the Proverbs where it says that a wise man walks in wise counsel, and how important that is that we are walking in wisdom. Father, thank you for your love today. Thank you for your mercy and your grace. God, help us to walk in wisdom. Help us to walk with the right friends. God, may we have the courage to walk away from those friends who are of a struggle for us, who lead us into areas, God, that we shouldn't be going into. God, help us to grow in our relationships with others, with our friends, that will lead us into right relationship with you. Will lead us into right relationship with those who will have positive impact on our lives. God, we love you and we praise you, and we thank you for this in Jesus' name. And everybody says, amen. We're going to be going over to our final song of worship. But before we go there, if you have a prayer request you'd like us to follow up with, and you would just like us to be praying for, would you text the word prayer to that number that you text at the beginning of our service this morning, 408-547-4911. Again, that's 408-547-4911. Text the word prayer, and then just maybe a little blurb as to what you would like us to pray about. We love you. We appreciate you. We're so thankful that you joined us this morning. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
This is my worship. This is my offering. In every moment, I withhold nothing. I'm learning to trust you, even when I can't see it. And even in suffering, I have to believe it. And if you say it's wrong, then I'll say no. If you say release, I'm letting go. If you're in it with me, I'll begin. When you say to jump, I'm diving in. If you say be still, then I will wait. If you say to trust, I will obey. I don't want to follow my own way. I'm done chasing feelings. Spirit, lead me. It felt like a burden, but once I could grasp it, you took me further than I was asking. And simply to see you, it's worth it all. My life is an altar, it's your fire fall. If you say it's wrong, then I'll say no. If you say release, I'm letting go. If you're in it with me, I'll begin. trust, I will obey. Teach me how to follow in your way. I'm done chasing feelings. Spirit, lead me. All hope is gone, and your word is all I've got. I have to believe you still bring water from the rocks to satisfy my thirst, to love me at my worst. And even when I don't remember, you remind me of my word. I don't trust my ways, trading in my thoughts, have laid down everything, 'cause you're all that I want. I've landed on my knees, this is the cup you have for me. And even when it don't make sense, gonna let your spirit lead. Gonna let your spirit lead. Wanna let your spirit lead. Wanna let your spirit lead. Spirit, lead me. Spirit, lead me. Spirit, lead me. Spirit, lead me. And if you say it's wrong, then I'll say no. If you say release, I'm letting go. If you're in it with me, I'll begin. When you say to jump, I'm diving in. When you say be still, then I will wait. If you say to trust, I will obey. You're the only truth, the life, the way. I'm done chasing fear.